All right, welcome back to the Beans No Ball podcast. I'm David, that's Christian. We already know the drill. We're 8 episodes in here. Welcome to episode 8. Let's get it all started.
All right, y'all know the drill. So we just finished. We're a little over a quarter of the 2022 NFL season. You know,
NBA.
It's going by a little quick. It's going by a little quick, but it's fine. You know, football's football, even though struggles here and there. You know. So obviously, you guys know the drill. Obviously, we're gonna go over the Week 6 recap, and then we're gonna go the Week 7 preview. So let's get started and get away the most atrocious game once again of the week. Another horrible, abysmal Thursday night game. The Washington Commanders at the Chicago Bears. This game was just another boring Thursday night game, man. The Commanders and the Bears. Justin Fields, overthrowing his receivers. Everything was all over the place. He did decent. He was decent rushing. Pettis did a good job as well for the Bears, but wasn't enough. It was three. Washington was leading 3-0 at halftime. They couldn't get anything done in the third. The Bears fought a little bit in the third, but this game again, like the games the other week, really came down to the fourth quarter. Washington came down with 9 other points. Bears couldn't get anything going. Just another boring game. But some other news too that may also hurt the Commanders. Carson Wentz, I think his finger or his thumb, he injured it.
He'll be out for 4 to 6 weeks, depending. But I mean, the positive is, they do have Taylor Heineke. We know what he's capable of, what he was able to do, even in a playoff game against Tom Brady. So, who knows? The way we've seen Carson Wentz this season, that it might be a positive to get a change of scenery in that quarterback. So, we'll see how the Commanders fare from that. But also, just a nice thing to see. It's Brian Robinson, obviously his debut in the NFL. Well, his second week in the NFL, and he got his first career touchdown. Obviously, everyone knows his story after coming back after being shot multiple times about a week before the season started. And look at him. He's RB1 on this team now, and he was the one that took advantage after the Commanders recovered a muff punt, and obviously he ran it in. So just obviously a great story for the Commanders and the league in general. But obviously apart from that, not really anything else. Sure, Justin Fields had a really nice deep shot for a touchdown, and that was about it for the offense. Everything was just slow. So we waited until the third quarter to even get a touchdown, and not much else to say. It was just a really boring game, like we're used to on these Thursday games. So, hopefully this next week we'll be treated to something better. But just move on from that. We'll start the Sunday slate of games with pretty big surprise, at least to us. We got the 49ers going down to the Falcons.
It was a surprising upset for me. It was very, very surprising.
Sure, as surprising as the Falcons have looked, I would not have expected to see this. Obviously, as a Rams fan, it's a really pleasant surprise. Sure, Garoppolo had honestly a pretty decent stats to come away from a loss. Almost 300 yards and 2 touchdowns, which he didn't have a bad game by any means, obviously, but just uncharacteristically, the 49ers defense just really didn't hold at all against a Falcons offense, which really isn't nothing special. Obviously, Mariota has had his good looks recently, kind of maintaining the ship for Atlanta. But the way it's looking, who knows? He's got the Falcons at 500. Well, obviously they were expected to be a top pick candidate, but we'll see how they look from here on out.
Yeah, man. Nothing else pretty much to say, but the Falcons, they're 3-3, pretty surprising. I would have expected them to be at least 2-4, but yeah, I guess something is bright in Atlanta so far. Mariota is proving everyone wrong that he can still play, and the Niners pretty surprising, especially with that defense that they have. But let's just see what else they have to come. And then moving on to our next 10 a.m. game, we have the Patriots at So this was a very good stand-up performance by Bailey Zapp. Who would have expected him to do well? 309 yards, 2 touchdowns, and that win also secured Bill Belichick to tie Coach Halas with 324 wins. So that's a good accomplishment for Bill Belichick. The Browns, on the other hand, I mean, we wanted to have our maybe last week talking about how we wanted to have our hopes up for Jacoby Brissett, but I guess it wasn't too well for the Browns this game. Bailey Zapp doing a fantastic job for the absence of Mac Jones. I'm pretty sure Mac Jones is still going to be the starter. I don't know if there's going to be any controversy stirring around, especially like the Cooper Rush and Dak Prescott. We already know now that's settled, but I don't know. Honestly, it's really going to come down to the decision by the coaching staff whether they're going to keep Bailey Zapp or if they're going to bring Mac Jones back. But we're just going to have to wait until see. There's a very good win by the Patriots. There's still hope for them. They're 3-3. Browns, on the other hand, they're really 2-4. They're really struggling. Their hopes were bright in the beginning, but yeah, nothing really other much. They just better hope they at least keep a nice, consistent record until Deshaun Watson comes back. So hopefully they can sneak their way into the 7th seed in the AFC.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically it. Obviously, you said it. Bailey Zappi has been just a really big surprise, obviously throughout the entire league, but especially for the Patriots. Obviously, they assumed they were gonna have to struggle for a bit without Mac Jones, but in comes Zappi, and he's giving them a reason to really consider what they're gonna do when Mac Jones is healthy. And I mean, honestly, you would expect Mac Jones to get that spot back, but I mean, you never know. He's with how Zappi looks. I would expect Belichick to give both guys an even shot, and whoever wins the job takes it. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of like you said. Obviously, the Patriots are looking pretty strong. I mean, sure, they look a little shaky at times, but I do believe they're going to be fine. Not to the extent of your Super Bowl prediction that you had early on, but they'll be all right. I don't think they'll make the playoffs. They should be fine. I mean, as for the Browns, sure, they're 2-4, but I think they're gonna bounce back from how they've looked these 2 games. I mean, they lost obviously this rough one against the Patriots last week. If it wasn't for I mean, they almost came away with it, obviously, because of Brandon Staley's just weird ineptitude as a head coach recently. But
yeah, because Watson comes back week 12, right? Or is it week 11?
Week 12 or 13 against the Texans.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe the Browns could get away with being 6-6, maybe 5-7.
If they're around 500, they're at
least like 6-6. Maybe 5-7. I would say they could possibly have a chance, but I doubt they can get the 7th seed going 10-7. But we're just gonna have to wait and see, especially with the way the other teams are playing.
Yeah. So moving on from that, this was probably the biggest surprise of the week. We got the Jets at the Packers. The Jets coming away. It's probably time to start recognizing the Jets may be for real here. They're 4-2 now. It's just that defense looking pretty strong. Their offense, sure. I mean, obviously they did get in all these points, but I mean, Zach Wilson hasn't had the best return from injury as we've seen so far. But I mean, you really gotta just look at the defense. It's been Sauce Gardner just really carrying the way. Just his coverage has been just a real joy to watch. He's I mean, to me, he'll probably run away with defensive rookie of the year. And I mean, just overall, what a surprise to see from the Jets. Obviously, we were low on them from the start. You wouldn't have expected them. I mean, sure, maybe over time they would have grown into like all these pieces they've been picking up. But I mean, really nice to see this from them. They're looking good. They could possibly sneak into the playoffs. And I mean, as for the Packers, you just see more and more how much they're missing Devontae Adams, because I mean the receiver corps, as we see every other week, it's just they can't get enough. Rodgers struggles without his main guy, and they'll probably be fine. I do have them missing the playoffs, and I think they'll just like slightly slip away, but I mean, we'll see with how they're looking right now.
New York, man, Breece Hall making a name for himself too at the running back position, 116 yards for a touchdown. And then also Sauce Gardner, like you said, having an amazing rookie year. I wouldn't be surprised if Sauce Gardner and Breece Hall walk away with both offensive and defensive rookie of the year. I don't think you've ever seen that in a team having both offense and defense. That would be like an amazing accomplishment. And the way the Jets are playing right now, the coaching's very well. Robert Saleh, phenomenal job on how he turned his team around so far. 4-2, beating the Packers. I think the Jets were the underdog this game. And the Packers having their struggles, being bad. But I mean, the Packers, I would say, are still a pretty decent team on paper. So this is a very big win for the Jets. The Packers, on the other hand, they have a lot to fix. The loss of Devontae is hurting Rodgers. I mean, Rodgers really doesn't have any chemistry with the receivers other than like Randall Cobb, since he was like with them most of the time in Green Bay. A little bit of Allen Lazard, but I mean, it really doesn't show it. But just a lot of things to fix in Green Bay, and looking really bright with the Jets. And then moving on from that game, we're looking at the next, I would say, bounce back. The Jaguars visit the Colts, and the Colts actually came away with this W. And Matt Ryan, thank God, actually has a beautiful game that actually did me well in fantasy. Oh my Lord, shy of 400 yards, 3 touchdowns. Got the Colts to win. The Colts are back up above 500. They're 3-2-1. They finally beat the Jaguars, so this is good. Pittman, I don't know how you specifically talked about in the beginning of the season that you wanted Pittman to do really well. Look at him, 13 catches for 134 yards, man. So far, I'm not gonna get my 2 hopes much on Indy right now. And I know we did have our hopes with the Jaguars, but they're 2-4 right now. Maybe getting away with being maybe 7-6 so far in mid-season, but the Jaguars, it's looking pretty in for them. But the Colts got this victory. Honestly, with both teams, I would have my hopes up for both of them, but we'll just see what happens. But other than that, Matt Ryan looked good. He didn't have a very abysmal game. So then Michael Pittman, I feel his chemistry is going to finish off very well.
Yeah, for both teams, like you said, sure. This is a good sign for Matt Ryan. Hopefully, you would think this kind of like gets him to have more good performance like this, like what you're used to, at least usually from Matty Ice in his Atlanta days. But
hasn't been the same since the Super Bowl. But
I just really. I don't think it's going to be that much better for the Colts. I would love to see it, just because obviously you know me and how much I root for them just because of Pittman. But I don't have much high hopes. Just obviously how they're looking, and even in probably the weakest division in football, it's just it's not really the best for them. And obviously the Jaguars, we were pretty high on them after a couple really decent wins, but it kind of looks like they're falling back down to earth. And obviously against a mediocre team like the Colts, maybe they can bounce back. Maybe they'll have a nice statement win in the next couple weeks. But to me, it's just it was kind of just a little average game to kind of like set things in a way. But I guess just you take it for what the positive that it was, that Matt Ryan and the Colts they kind of do look in stride a bit. And for my prediction's sake, let's hope this is a sign of more things to come.
Yeah.
Of course, moving right on, we got another game that I guess was just easy to call. We got the Vikings at the Dolphins, which sure, this would have been a really interesting game without all the Dolphins injuries, but Obviously, they were down to a third string quarterback in Skylar Thomas, and just I mean, even he got hurt, and I mean, luckily Teddy Bridgewater was cleared from concussion protocol to come back. He did have obviously a great game, 329 yards and 2 touchdowns off the bench, but it just wasn't enough. The Vikings, I mean, look at them, they're 5-1. My prediction's looking strong so far, and I mean, they're just everything was just clicking for him. Justin Jefferson didn't have his crazy high
I was very surprised too.
game, but he did end up with over 100 yards, and that's usually is enough with the connection with Kirk Cousins. And probably the bigger thing wasn't nothing crazy for Dalvin Cook, but he was a factor in this game. Obviously, that nice long touchdown run that we're used to seeing from him. He just he looked great, and just the Vikings in general, their offense really took off here as we were kind of starting to get used to seeing with kind of recently. But it looks like the Vikings are doing just fine after that one pretty lackluster game they had against the Eagles a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, man, you pretty much summed up everything. Another fantastic, well-played game by Kirk Cousins. I mean, it was a close game, especially with Tua out. And I feel like if Tua was in here, it would have been more interesting. And then, and even with another interesting, Mike just took his freaking little McGriddle giggity goo dance. I think that was the highlight of the day for me. But I mean, jokes aside, I mean, the Dolphins, I feel like they'll be fine. Honestly, they were 3-0, 3-1, and then now they're 3-3. They'll be fine when Tua's back. I think I did choose the Dolphins playoffs. I don't remember exactly what seed, but I feel like they'll still be able to make it, I feel like them not having Tua is probably the reason they're struggling. But honestly, I feel like Dolphins will be fine. The Vikings are doing really well right now. They're doing way better than what I expected, to be honest. I mean, you were right. I'm not gonna lie, they were better than Packers. So Vikings are the team to another team to watch out for in the NFC, other than the Eagles. But if the Kirk Cousins and Jay Jettis can keep getting this connection going, they can go far this season. And with that being said, let's move on to the next game, which is another good game. The Bengals at the Saints. So Joe Burrow, he had a decent game. Not decent, but he had a really well game. 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. Jamar Chase also went off today. I'm sorry. He went off too. 132 yards, 2 touchdowns. It was a very, very close game. There were like scores back to back, scores going every single time. Sadly, Andy Dalton was just short of leading the Saints to the comeback. And Bengals O-line still jacked up. Joe Burrow still sacked a couple times that game. But I mean, from the looks of it, I mean, Bengals seems to getting the groove again. The Saints 2-4. I mean, the Saints looked like they had hope really early, but I don't think Andy Dalton's gonna be the guy to carry them.
Yeah, I mean, that last point you make, it's kind of it sucks that it's Andy Dalton, but that's as much as I like him, he really isn't gonna cut it for the Saints, and it's unfortunate that they're missing Jameis Winston, but I mean he has that rib issue right now, so it's just time will tell how long he'll be out. And
I don't think he's returning. There may be a possibility, but
and obviously that's way down the line. It's possibly too late. I think I had the Saints in the playoffs, and I mean, sure, who knows if Dalton can help him bounce back, but it's not looking too good, especially with other teams in the NFC on the rise. But yeah, I mean, the Saints look they were doing fine. They were up 20-14 at half, and it looked like it was just gonna be another upset pick from us after not just overall we did horrible this week, but it looked like it was just gonna be another one. But this one did go our way. Obviously, we trusted Burrow to have a solid game this week, and he did. So I mean, props to him. I've obviously kind of been down on him ever since he's been so hype up and not really playing up to that hype, but he played really well this week. Obviously, like you said, the 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. See more to come. Obviously, he's gonna need that to compete in a pretty tough division in the AFC North. And I mean, that's basically all to be said about that game. Let's move on to another one of the premier matchups, as it turned out in this week: the Ravens at the Giants. Which
this is another upset.
Obviously, we both took the Ravens. As close as I was to taking the Giants in this game, which I really wish I would have. But I obviously went with the obvious choice in the Ravens.
I was upset that the Ravens.
Sure. I mean, what can you say? I mean, it was a pretty good game by Lamar Jackson. I mean, he only got one touchdown and 210 yards, but I mean that's respectable for him. And obviously, you know what he does on the ground. And I mean, it's just the Ravens had a great game overall. Everyone on the offensive side, Kenyon Drake, he ran the ball well. Obviously, you expect J.K. Dobbins to be the main guy there, but this time it was Kenyon Drake, and obviously Mark Andrews. He's one of the best tight ends in the league, and he showed why right here. But obviously it comes down to how great Brian Dable and the Giants are looking right now. And I see Saquon didn't have that crazy game that we've seen him recently, but he's still he's incredible. He's been the one that's maintaining things for the Giants, and that's what's got the Giants at 5-1. Obviously one of the biggest surprises of this year, but they're looking good, and I'm getting pretty high on them too. It's I'm expecting them to go far. Who knows? Well, we'll see if we make a little mid-season playoff prediction. I'll have them up there.
Yeah, I mean, Brian Dable. I don't know what he's doing, but man, he's doing a great job at coach. Now, another thing with Brian Dable, put this into perspective, right? The highest receiving leader on the Giants right now, I forgot his name, but he has 184 yards. That's their highest. That's their leading receiver. Justin Jefferson alone had 184 yards week 1. I don't know how you wanted to pick that.
I mean, that just really shows how great
they're 5-1. That just shows the magic that what Brian Dable is doing with that team.
Not only the magic of Dable, but just you got to see the bounce back Saquon's been having. Yeah, and sure, it's not crazy numbers, but it's. I mean, okay, you look at it as a mix of both how great Saquon's been, and with them being so successful, and obviously the highest receiver being so low. It just shows how much they spread the ball, and everyone's getting the ball on the receiving end. So, I mean, props to them. Props to Daniel Jones. The way he's been really managing this offense. It's a big surprise, obviously, after he's been the butt of jokes ever since his career started.
Yeah, I mean, still regardless, with Saquon running the ball like he usually does, doing well. I mean. To me, I think I gotta start worrying about the Giants now. So that's for me. But I mean, other than us talking well about the Giants, the Ravens, what else can Lamar do? Lamar can't do anything else other than they did end up choking that league. I think it was 2010. It was just, I don't know what's going on. They're choking the season with Lamar. I don't know if John Harbaugh is just throwing this team around, but I mean, Lamar Jackson, he can't be doing everything. I mean, Mark Andrews did have a good game, but that Ravens defense, Marcus Peters, like, what's going on? But they're 3-3. They have a lot to work, and the Ravens were my runner-up to win the AFC North, but they got a lot of things to fix in these upcoming days. But the Giants looking really well. All right, now, so moving on to our next upset of the week. 2 upsets in a row so far. We have the Buccaneers at the Steelers. The Steelers came away with this victory 20-18. Trubisky coming off the bench and proving everyone that he's the guy for the job. Kenny Pickett, we saw how he played the past weeks. Didn't look like he was the guy for the job. pick every single week so far that he started. Not good, not good. So Trubisky had to come off the bench and he had to clutch up for the Steelers. That was a very nice clutch and good play on third down to basically seal the game for the Steelers. I mean, everything is going wrong in Tampa Bay right now, I thought people thought, week 1 against the Cowboys, after that win, that Brady still had it. It's going to be the same exact Bucs team. Lenny had a merely average game, wasn't too good. Chase Claypool had another good, but he had a good game. 7 catches for 96 yards and a touchdown. I mean, really showing what he can really do to help these Steelers win. But I mean, other than that, the Steelers, they're still 2-4. They still have a lot of catching up to do. Bucs are 3-3, one of the powerhouses that was supposed to take over the league. But I mean, everything's just going wrong with them. The loss to the Steelers is really gonna hurt them. I don't know how Brady's gonna come away with this, but I mean, I would assume the Bucs are gonna be fine. But if they don't get their act together of fixing what they need to do, especially that defense has been a little iffy lately, I don't think they might be far. I don't think they're gonna go far this season. Even though I picked them to be as one of the playoff teams, but we'll just see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we both had the Bucs as the winner in the South, which, I mean, that's kind of just the easy call. I mean, when you got the Panthers and the Falcons, those you kind of brush them off. The Saints, who knows? But I mean, now with Jameis out for so long, it's kind of easy. It's probably just going to be a mediocre Bucs team getting in as the 4 seed for to win the South. But I mean, still, like you said, it seems like a lot of turmoil going on in Tampa. After all the controversy that went on in the offseason with Brady taking some time off, and now he's here yelling at his old linemen, and really looks like there's a rift in between the team. Who knows? I mean, if they get that fixed, I mean, for their sake, you hope they do. But it's Brady, so you expect them to bounce back. I mean, I don't think they're losing 3 in a row. I mean, we'll obviously get into that into the preview, but obviously an ugly game for the Bucs, but I honestly don't see too much of it. And as for the Steelers, I mean, sure, it was just off of an injury to Kenny Pickett, but you see Trubisky look fine, and obviously as a somewhat of a Trubisky fan myself, it was nice to see him just kind of make somewhat of a statement here, just to take down Brady. And I mean, we'll see what happens. I honestly would like to see Trubisky get back into that starting role for the Steelers. Just as much as I kept saying in weeks past that sure it was going to take time for Kenny Pickett to grow into that role, but I mean, it's probably easier to just put him back into the backup spot and just move on, because we saw how that went. Wasn't really that good. So to me, better let Trubisky in there. Regardless, the Steelers they're gonna struggle throughout the rest of the season, but just give the keys to Trubisky here, and that's basically all to be said. It was just a surprising game, and props to the Steelers for pulling this one off. But let's move right along to my game this week. We got
I'll let you see what you got.
The Rams against the Panthers. We finally broke this skid. We're finally back in the win column, back at 500 at 3-3. I mean, it was a bunch of positives that I could say from this game. Obviously, it didn't start that way. We were down 10-7 at half, which it should have been 7-3 with a possibility to go up even more. But of course, what else but Matthew Stafford pick 6 to just give them the lead going into the half. But that was the extent of it. They did not. The defense did not give up any more points aside from a field goal in the first drive, I think it was. But I mean, you see, and it's what I say week in and week out. This defense is, I mean, realistically, it's a very elite defense. Apart from, I guess maybe you could say the run defense, but I mean, the net points they give up is usually just really good, and it comes down to either the offense not doing enough or Stafford giving up points himself. But obviously in this game, it was a little easier to call just because Stafford did do a little better, obviously, and he did get the ball to Cooper Kupp, not as forcefully as we are used to seeing. This was a little step in the right direction. We were actually targeting Allen Robinson, which was just finally a joy to see. He did get a touchdown, made some great catches. That's it's just what I've really been wanting to see more out of this. It just really makes me happy to see him incorporate everyone else little by little. We finally got Powell a lot of good plays, and he's elusive. He's a great guy. Obviously, he's our punt returner, our kick returner. But I mean, you get him the ball, he could make some magic. And over time, I do expect him to have a bigger role as a receiver. I mean, especially right now as just with the injuries and just missing guys overall, he's been taking over and he's been looking good. And just I guess the last thing I could say about the offense is Ben Skoranek too. He got a touchdown. He looked great. He's obviously been embraced more into that fullback role, but this week he showed that he's still a pretty good receiver. He's just looking great. And I mean, there's not much to say. I guess the one last tidbit is Cam Akers is probably on his way out as a member of the Rams, which to me it honestly hurts a bit, being that he, ever since Gurley left, he was that little replacement for him, that running back that I became really fond of him. But now seeing him, really his role being diminished, and now he missed this game for personal reasons, and now he is firmly on the trade block. I do understand, and I do feel better for him to find a better role on a better team. That, I mean, with our O-line, he wasn't going to get much done anyway. But overall, it was a great comeback game from the Rams after the skid. Now we go into the bye week. That hopefully we just take all the good in this and really regroup because we're going to have another really tough game against the 49ers in 2 weeks. So that's basically all I got to say for a pretty solid game overall.
You pretty much said everything I was going to say, but just another couple things to add. I mean, it was a good one for the Rams bouncing back after those 2 losses against the Niners and the Cowboys. A lot of people were already down in the Rams. I mean, everyone was already down in the Panthers. So, I mean, this could have been this. Obviously, everyone assumed this would have been a bounce back game for the Rams, which it was. But, I'm going to keep saying this over and over and over again. Matthew Stafford and those picks, it's got to stop. That pick 6 that he threw was honestly the worst thing he could have done. Just really, really didn't help at all. They still managed to walk away with this W, but they still have a lot of these miscues is what cost them games. And luckily, this one didn't cost them the game, thank God. But I mean, he just really has to throw everything since they're not really giving Cam Akers. They didn't really give Cam Akers a chance. I think it was the ACL injury that he had last season. No,
he came back real quick, which I mean, that
he came back
gave me a
quick,
lot of hope. But
yeah, I guess I would say maybe that the ACL is maybe the reason why he's struggling a bit. But at the same time, the Rams aren't giving him opportunities. So him getting put on the trade block, honestly, is a pretty outlandish thing for the Rams. Well, that's football. That's how this is with this. So moving on to the next game, we had the Cardinals at the Seahawks. Now, this was a sadly sad game by the Cardinals. I think I picked the Cardinals to win this game, and sadly, another horrible pick. Kyler Murray. Well, I mean, what's there much to say about Kyler? He did okay. That's literally the best I can put it. 222 yards. I mean, he threw an INT. I really loved Kyler since he entered the league. I had high hopes for Kyler, but from the looks of it, I mean, he's been looking really bad. I mean, they're getting the DeAndre Hopkins back next week, so that's a good thing. But maybe, I don't know if D-Hop could really play a part, even though Kyler always manages to do well when D-Hop is in the lineup. So we're just going to have to see for that. The Seahawks, Geno Smith had a pretty fair game. He did good, and then Kenneth Walker too. Kenneth Walker, he had another great game for the Seahawks. I mean, it was a pretty end game, 19-9. So it wasn't really an exciting game, but it was a very good win from the Seahawks. Geno Smith, it looks like he may be the franchise guy from the looks of it, but I mean, they're still 3-3. They still have a lot of things to fix around that team. That defense, though, that's from the Seahawks, it's looking okay. But I wouldn't say like Legion of Boom level right now, but I mean, it's looking pretty decent. I mean, all of those guys are really, really fast. So I mean, that's kind of playing a part. But with the Cardinals, hopefully D-Hop is the center point of the Cardinals that can possibly flip them around. But as of right now, the Seahawks 3-3, they're doing decent so far. Cardinals, I got no hope for them anymore.
I mean, yeah, that's basically it. I mean, like you said, although nothing really to show for it, Kyler did have a good game, just like 222 yards from on the air and rushing for 100 yards. So, I mean, you usually expect that to be enough for the Cardinals, but obviously, like you said, that Seahawks defense is it's pretty good, and obviously they're back to 500. They're looking good. I did take the Seahawks this week, which I felt as a risk at first, but it paid off. And I mean, there isn't much to say. It was basically a straightforward matchup, I guess you could say. What you did mention about Kenneth Walker having a decent game, it looks like he'll be a pretty smooth replacement after Rashad Penny's season-ending injury last week. So, I mean, apart from that, not much to be said. Is I think I did see reports about Cliff Kingsbury wanting to experiment now after this, that maybe he will let off play calling duties to someone else on the coaching staff, which the way things have been going, that's probably the best option for them. But I mean, the NFC West is wide open with the top three teams all at 3-3, and then the Cardinals at 2-4. So we'll see how that unfolds. I mean, obviously that gives me hope. As low as we've been, where it's all wide open. So move right along to probably, I mean, this was the most highly anticipated matchup of the week, the Bills at the Chiefs, and I mean it didn't disappoint. 24-20 outcome in the end.
I took the victory on this one.
Yes, you did. I expected just Mahomes to be Mahomes, but he uncharacteristically threw the game-sealing interception right at the end, which I expected a game-winning drive from him. You know, just the common thing to see from him. But I mean, regardless, it was a 338 yards, 2 touchdowns from him. Just what you expect to seeing. Obviously, Josh Allen, he had his wonderful game, that leaping run that he did have, that obviously is going around everywhere. Everyone's looking at it. It was just a great game on both sides for the most part, and the Bills, as obviously they're looking like the team that's going to be the team to beat in the AFC, and they showed it obviously not only with their offense but with their late game defense. The big piece that was obviously gonna be a difference maker that everyone knew, obviously Von Miller. He made a bunch of key tackles in the fourth quarter, which that was one of the key factors in the Rams making their playoff run, and it's looking like he's gonna have a pretty big role in getting hopefully a deep playoff run for the Bills.
Yeah, I mean, this game, I mean, I really did enjoy this game a lot, you know. I knew the Bills were going to walk away with it, though. I had no hesitation with picking the Bills when going over our standings. I just knew Josh Allen would work his magic, you know. Stephon Diggs had an amazing game, 10 catches for 148 yards and a touchdown. Absolutely torched that Chiefs secondary. We know how bad it usually is. Patrick Mahomes did have he had an egg game, and we're excluding the interceptions. He had a good game, but you know that game-sealing interception, it was really bad for them. But I mean, you know, everyone expected this game to be very, very, very close. It's very anticipated. But the Chiefs are gonna be fine. The Bills moving on to 5-1. I'm already regretting saying that they're gonna miss playoffs. I don't know why I said that. It's pretty stupid of me. But man, like we said, they are the team to beat in the AFC. I really got no other team to compete against them other than the Chiefs, obviously. But the Bills are right now. They could possibly walk away with the number 1 seed. It's looking very, very well for them. And I knew after they lost that one game to who did they lose to again?
The Dolphins.
The Dolphins.
That was the butt.
That was the practice squad time. When they lost to the Dolphins, I was like, they'll be fine. They didn't have their starters. They'll be fine. And I was right. They're going to be fine, 5-1. So looking great with the Chiefs. That connection, Josh Allen to Stephon Diggs connection is very deadly. So it's very well. Chiefs, they really got to fix that secondary. They really got to do something about that. But other than that, very great game by the Bills. Now moving on to my game. This game was very, very, very traumatizing for me. I wanted to cry every single time we went on the field. So I'm going to keep this rant short and simple. Cooper Rush was not that guy to begin with. To every Cowboys fan that said, start him over Dak, please leave the fan base. Never talk to me ever again. That is the most outlandish, blasphemous, preposterous thing I have ever heard ever since watching football. Cooper Rush, don't get me wrong, I love him. He did his job being 4-1 in the absence of Dak Prescott. I love it, right? He did his job, right? But the defense and the rushing attack is the reason why he succeeded. We saw with the Rams game, he barely threw for 100 yards, right? He had two opportunities to make some touchdowns, but no. But it's fine. The defense and the rushing attack was the reason he was succeeding. Now, everyone was saying, oh, yeah, he's going to replace that Prescott. Oh, yeah, he's going to be the leader of the Cowboys. The game against Philadelphia literally showed he threw 3 picks. 3 picks. And they're all his fault. That last pick he threw to his target on CD, bro, that would have been the game. Now, I'm not going to blame that much on him because Brandon Graham did hit him. If we had just one more second, it would have been probably tie game, with CeeDee Lamb extremely open. He burned the hell out of that Eagles defender. He burned the hell out of him. If we just needed a little bit more time, it would have possibly been a game for us. But enough said. Dak Prescott comes back next week against the Lions, so that should be an anticipated win for us. A good win for him. We got the Bears bye and the Packers, so we should be 6-2 at our bye, so it should be fine. Zeke, he's back. 13 carries, 81 yards, touchdown. He did an amazing job. It's good seeing Zeke doing well. He always feasts during the Eagles for some reason. His feasting didn't help us win though. CeeDee Lamb was kind of not cooked. He was kind of locked up all game. 5 catches, 68 yards. It was fine. The defense, on the other hand, they got embarrassed. Trayvon Diggs though, only allowing a catch for 11 yards. So he still proving everyone wrong, even though the media is still saying that he got cooked by the freaking Eagles defenders. When if you look into the actual stats, he literally only allowed a catch for 11 yards. I think it was only on A.J. Brown or in general. Still, it was good for him. Lane Johnson really impacted the game after he left because Michael was getting pressure. Lane Johnson really clumped them up, so did DeMarcus Lawrence. But we should be fine. I'm not going to get more into it. If I was going to get more into it, it would just be me yelling, screaming. But Cooper Rush, thank you for your time as a starter. Thank you for keeping us in the race. I think once Dak comes back, when we're back on track, I'm assuming he's gonna have an amazing season, finish off. But other than that, we'll be fine. Dak's gonna beat everyone else, so we should be fine. But we'll see Philly on Christmas. We'll see.
Yeah, that you obviously covered everything. That's what usually happens when we cover our own team. But I guess the one thing I could say, obviously, you were going to take the Cowboys all the way. I took the Eagles with my gut feeling, and obviously I got that right here. But it was a great game. Just your average Eagles Cowboys rivalry game. Sure, it started out extremely one-sided, 20-3 at half, but you guys battled back. The defense kind of tightened up in the second half, only allowing 6 points, which that's been That's just been your positive, basically every week. And I mean, yeah, not much more to say from me. It's just good to finally see Dak coming back this week. And I mean, obviously, if all goes well, that will be the case. And I mean, I see your Cowboys bouncing back pretty well. But basically, everything you touched up on really did it for me. So let's just move on to Monday night. Another Broncos primetime game. Just another boring game. And
I don't even want to talk about this game.
Let's just get it out the way. It was just I mean, pretty crappy overall. I mean, sure, Russell Wilson had an actual good quarter with the Broncos, an actual good first half. Let's call it how it was. They played pretty they played decently enough. Obviously, they had the lead 10-0 in the first and 13-10 at half. They were looking solid, obviously, but after that, I don't remember the exact stats, but I think he had like 15 yards and only like 3 for 10 or 3 for 13 in the second half and overtime combined. Like, he just had some abysmal numbers, and just kind of more of what we've been seeing from this washed Russell Wilson. Obviously you see more. I think we saw Jerry Jeudy and Melvin Gordon obviously looking just pretty annoyed at what situation they're in right now, and you paid $250 million for this. I mean, it's pretty unfortunate to see the situation the Broncos are in, but I mean it puts me in a good position because obviously I took the Chargers to win this division, and I mean it's not looking as good as I had expected, but I mean sure it's a great win. You see Dustin Hopkins, who got injured I think on his first kick, and look at him, he just kept bringing himself out there just so he's got that dog in him, man. He's just a great kicker for the Chargers, and he just put the team on his back, which I mean you see most of their scoring was field goals, obviously, so
yeah,
they really needed Hopkins, and he stepped up when they obviously needed him most.
I mean, yeah, you pretty much summed up everything else. I mean, just another horrible Monday night game. Thankfully, we don't got another Broncos primetime till I think week 14. But I think they should just flex that out. I don't think the Broncos deserve that. But Herbert, regardless of him, he had a bad game. If we're being realistic, he had a bad game. He, with 57 attempts and no touchdowns, I mean, 238 yards and an interception. It was just, that interception literally almost costed him the game, but thankfully brought the Broncos offense. It's very, very bad. And it just really didn't go anywhere. You know, that overtime was boring. You know, I got home from practice, 7:30 watching this game. And, it was almost I think like 9 p.m., right? I hop in the shower. Because, there's no way this game lasted that long. It felt so long in the last remaining minutes. But, I mean, it's looking very well for the Chargers. I mean, they got a bright future ahead of them. I mean, Justin Herbert, he's still got a lot to fix, regardless of them being 4-2, The Broncos, I know you had your hopes for the Broncos. I did too, but Russell Wilson, I mean, it's just not it, I mean, everyone expected Russell Wilson to carry this team back, All the Broncos needed was a QB. After Peyton Manning retired, after they won the Super Bowl, they couldn't find a QB. Keep getting rotations around. Yeah, it just was, Trevor Siemian, Brock Osweiler, Teddy Bridgewater, Drew Lock. I mean, that many rotations, it didn't look good for the Broncos. And then as soon as they got Russell Wilson, you would have expected them to bounce back, but it's looking very, very bad for them. And, I got decent hopes for the Chargers.
Yeah, so that basically wraps up our recap of week 6. Just pretty solid mix of wonderful matchups and then just absolute disappointments. But with all that being said, Christian, let's get into how we did this week. Obviously, not our best. Christian, you went 5-9. I went 500 at 7-7.
Well, at least you got 500. So I mean,
yeah, hey, putting me at 52-42, still 10 games above 500. But unfortunately, Christian, for you, you are back below 500 at 46-48. It's just not. I mean, this week was just a little extra for us. I guess just unfortunate results.
I really got back this week. This week I gotta make some good no upset. So.
Gotta go bold this week then if you really want to really make a change in this. But I mean, before we really get into that, obviously that's our buys for week 7 are the Bills, Rams, Vikings, and Eagles. Obviously, we won't go into them. And yeah, I mean, it's some well-needed rest for those 4 teams. Let's get started.
Yep. So first matchup, you got the Thursday game, the Saints at the Cardinals. Now I feel like this is another like a little trickery game, that I gotta be precise if I really want to keep my predictions good. So with this game, I mean, from the way Arizona is playing, they're getting D-Hop back. So I'm gonna go with the Cardinals once again on this game. You know how Kyler plays when he has D-Hop on the lineup. And I feel like D-Hop is going to be the game changer for the Cardinals. So I got the Cardinals getting away with this W.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you. I was actually pretty close to picking the Saints.
I was close to picking the Saints.
I was pretty close, but I'm going to have to say the Cardinals. Even though, I mean, for those that know the bird gauntlet thing the Saints got going on, they've been beating all the bird teams so far. Unfortunately, I think it's going to end here. I think the Cardinals are going to take them down. It's getting to this point in the season, but it's especially like you said with D-Hop coming back. I feel like this is the point where Kyler Murray's gonna start finding himself. I mean, yeah, you would hope at least. It's just,
I would hope. I love Kyler. I love Kyler.
I mean, if they can't start finding it against a struggling Saints team and with D-Hop coming back, you would think all hope is really lost for the Cardinals, realistically. Yeah. But
I feel like this is gonna be the game Kyler comes back. But yeah.
Well, I mean, let's hope so. Obviously, we both like Kyler, so hope for the best here and move on to the Sunday slate. We got starting our early morning slate, the Falcons at the Bengals. This one is another one of those that, I mean, the way these teams are looking, it could easily go both ways. To me, I'm gonna have to go with Joe Burrow. I'm gonna say the Bengals take this. Not too convincingly, honestly, just because the way Mariota's been carrying himself and just playing this whole season. It's going to be a close game. Both teams are 3-3. I don't see too much of a shootout, but I think maybe a mid-20s close game in between for both teams, both quarterbacks, pretty evenly matched. But I'm thinking a nice Burrow to Chase connection to really seal this game for the Bengals.
Yep, I'm going to agree with you 100%. I mean, this game could go both ways, especially with the way Atlanta has been playing. They pretty proved me so far a little wrong, but I still got my doubts for Atlanta. But I think now that Cincy's kind of getting in their zone in their group now, I got Cincy coming with this win as well. I think this one should be a no-brainer, but it could go both ways. But sticking with Cincy. Now moving on to the Cowboys' first 10 a.m. game of the season, I believe. Yes. One of our first 10 a.m. games so far. We got the Lions visiting us at home. I got to go with my boys for the 7th week in a row. It has been doing me well other than the last game and the first game. But, Dak comes back. You know how Dak is with, I think Dak is undefeated against the Lions. And I hope that remains the same this Sunday. Hopefully I didn't jinx anything, but, getting his chemistry back with his receivers, Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, maybe Noah Brown. Detroit's been struggling, but Detroit has kind of been a sleeper, but, they've been struggling a bit, but I got my Cowboys for sure. This is a for sure dub, great game back by Dak. As long as that O-line can hold up, we should be fine.
I mean, yeah, just another agreement for the two of us here. You like you said, you see the Lions as a sneaky team, but they're only sneaky to a certain point until they end up blowing it, whether it's their offense not doing enough or their defense just giving up an ungodly amount of points. So
Yeah.
I mean, to me, pretty straightforward to say the Cowboys, especially if Dak's coming back. It's somewhat of a no-brainer for me. So I think Cowboys take this one by at least 10 points. And we'll move on to another pretty big divisional matchup, the turnaround for the Colts and the Titans. Obviously, we already saw this matchup a couple weeks ago. The Titans took it pretty handily, and I mean, as much as I want to say that Matt Ryan continues what he had going last week, I'm gonna have to say the Titans here to just I guess just continue their dominance. Obviously, coming off of a bye. They're well rested. They're just probably ready, obviously, especially this being the important divisional matchup. As I said, I'm expecting Derrick Henry to really pop off, and just it's straightforward to me. I'm not much to say. I'm gonna have to say the Titans winning by at least a touchdown.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you on here. Tennessee, I would say they're kind of getting their zone back. Obviously, if Derrick Henry does well, that's how Matt Ryan succeeds. Not Matt Ryan, I'm sorry, Ryan Tannehill. But as much as how Indy did do well the last game and how Matt Ryan finally had a good I feel like they're just gonna come up towards Tennessee. Tennessee does have a slight upper hand here, so I'm gonna go with Tennessee on this one. And from moving on from that game. We got Green Bay visiting Washington. So obviously we know how Green Bay has been doing their struggles for a while, but so has Washington. I feel like this is gonna be their comeback game. Green Bay. This is gonna be their comeback game against Washington. Sadly, Carson Wentz is out. I don't really think that makes a difference. Taylor Heineke is gonna score. He's gonna play. He might score though. But I got Green Bay coming over this W.
I mean, yeah. To me, it's just I think that I'm not gonna expect the Packers to lose 3 in a row, especially against a Commanders team that's down to their backup. Although that backup's Taylor Heineke, and I really did enjoy seeing his little run back in 2020. But it's Aaron Rodgers. It's obviously Matt LaFleur being. That pair hasn't. Let alone they haven't lost 2 in a row for I think ever, and it finally happened for the first time last week. I really doubt they're gonna lose 3 in a row. And just especially against. Forget regardless anything about the quarterback situation in Washington. It's just the team in general. There's not much of a lot going on that's positive on that team, and you see a hungry Packers team. They're gonna really take advantage of this kind of comeback matchup as how I saw the Rams were gonna do it against the Panthers last week. And of course, moving on, speaking about the Panthers, we got the Buccaneers heading to Carolina. Just another similar situation. Obviously Tom Brady in this scenario gets a little blessing of a game after back-to-back losses, and just to me it's going to be an easy Bucs win. The Panthers fall to 1-6 now. Obviously they're lost their head coach, lost their quarterback, just no identity in general. They had the whole situation with Robbie Anderson that they finally did trade him almost right away after that little outbreak he had on the sideline in the Rams game. He's gone, shipped off to Carolina and to Arizona. But to me it's just going to be an easy win for the Bucs. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on this one too. It is pretty straightforward. Nothing else but to say that Carolina is struggling. Baker Mayfield was not the option. Robbie Anderson is gone. They traded him this morning. Didn't take long after he got kicked out of the game, but Tampa Bay is going to have their little groove against Carolina. Nothing else much to say, but Tampa Bay is going to get this W. Speaking of other struggling teams, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars hosting the New York Giants. Just as well as the Giants have been playing, I'm gonna have to go with the Giants. As a Cowboys fan, I gotta give them the credit. I'm gonna have to give them the props, the credit, especially with me doubting them. Everything's been going well for the Giants, 5-1. So I feel like they're just gonna really like beat Jacksonville to the ground this game. I would want to say it could go both ways, but at the same time, not necessarily. But I got Giants walking away with this victory.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you. As obviously I've been saying the past couple weeks, I'm pretty high on the Giants, and I got high hopes for them to keep this success going. As what I've been saying, just Brian Dable, he's the man in New York, and he's gonna keep it going. Obviously against a struggling Jaguars team like this, I see Trevor Lawrence having more of this turnover trouble, and just as straightforward as it gets. I'm gonna have to say the Giants, and obviously Saquon, expecting a big game out of him, and expecting a pretty big Giants win here. So another morning game. I believe this is the last one, but this is a pretty big AFC North divisional matchup. We got the Browns at the Ravens. To me, obviously both of these teams coming off pretty rough losses in their matchups last week. To me, I'm gonna have to go with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. It's gonna come down to quarterback play for me, and easy call to say that Lamar outduels Jacoby Brissett. Now, obviously nothing against Brissett. He's been wonderful in the absence of Deshaun Watson, but it's I got to go with my gut, and just the right call in my mind, saying that as poor that the Ravens defense has been looking this year, I'm pretty sure the offense will be able to carry against the Browns this week.
Yep, gonna have to agree with you on this one. Once again, I got Baltimore. I also got Baltimore. This one pretty nothing else much to say. You pretty much took the words out of my mouth once again. But yeah, I got Baltimore coming back, a little bounce back win from this game. I got Lamar Jackson going for a high game this week again. But yeah, Baltimore got them with the easy dub. And then moving on to our first afternoon game, the New York Jets at the Broncos. I would say another pretty straightforward game. The way the Jets have been looking, Zach Wilson, Breece Hall, and Sauce Gardner leading that defense. I got the Jets winning this one against the Denver. We already know how much Russell Wilson has struggled so far, and that Broncos defense has been fairly decent, but hasn't been enough to win them games. So I got the Jets taking this one.
Yeah, and I'm gonna have to agree with you again. It's pretty. I think we've agreed on basically every single matchup, and just obviously you just look at how poor the Broncos look, how surprising the Jets have looked. It's just I'm expecting Sauce Gardner to get a pick or two against Russ. He's just playing really poor overall, and not much to say for me. It's gonna be a pretty convincing Jets win in this matchup. And moving right along from that, we got the Texans at the Raiders. Obviously two struggling teams from their record, but we both know how I see the Raiders' struggles. I don't see them as bad as their record, and it's an easy call for me to say that they're gonna relatively easily get this game, especially at home. That atmosphere is surprisingly good, obviously in Vegas, and it's that fan base. So not much of a surprising thing on why I said that, but yeah, just obviously the Raiders have gotten pretty unlucky with the results they've gotten in the early going of the season, and I'll at least expect them to go to 2-4 this week.
Yeah, I agree with you too. Nothing to expect from the game. Raiders, this is pretty much an easy dub. I don't really got to go more into depth with that. The way Houston's been playing really, really bad. So yeah, Raiders are going to take this win. Nothing really other things to say about that. But moving on to our next 125 game, I feel like this is going to be another very good game. Seattle at Los Angeles Chargers. Now, with the way Seattle has been playing right now, it's looking very well for them. But the way the Chargers have been playing, it's kind of inconsistent for them. But I'm going to stick with the Chargers with this victory right now. I'm going to stick with the Chargers to win this game against the Seahawks. I feel like I guess Joe Burrow can possibly come back from that bad game yesterday. Seattle, but that defense of Seattle is very, very, very well. But I feel like the Chargers are gonna come away with this victory.
Yeah, I mean, easy call for me as well, and I'm gonna have to agree with you again. It's I mean, as much as obviously I don't like seeing the Seahawks succeed, but I enjoy seeing Geno Smith succeed to a certain extent. And I mean, as much as I do love seeing that, I'm gonna be just be real with myself, and it's the Chargers. As much as they've struggled somewhat, I mean their record still shows they've come away with most of those games that they struggled with, and it's just I would expect Justin Herbert to have another game that's more of what we expect from him, because he really hasn't been himself the past 2 weeks, I would say. But yeah, just Chargers win for me here. And let's move on. This is probably another more highly anticipated matchup of this week. We got a rematch of Super Bowl 54 and the Chiefs at the Niners. This one, to me, I mean, nothing to do with my obvious hate for the Niners, but I'm gonna have to say the Chiefs, just from the way the Niners have looked after a pretty ugly loss against Atlanta, and now having to face a Chiefs team that's coming off a tough loss against the Bills. I feel like they're just gonna get caught in the crossfire with the Chiefs playing angry, and probably Mahomes playing pretty angry. Gonna make I won't say that it's a blowout by any means. I'm gonna have to say it's a close enough game, but I'll have the Chiefs winning, just as they did in Miami a couple years ago.
Yep, I'm gonna have to agree with you once again on this one. I got the Kansas City Chiefs winning over the San Francisco 49ers. Can't really expect much for San Francisco right now. I mean, especially with the little hype they've been getting with their defense, but they did get literally, I would say, embarrassed by the Falcons. Not too bad though, but they still got a couple of things to fix. Jimmy G find his zone. But yeah, after coming out from that loss against the Bills, the Chiefs will be fighting angry. So I feel like this is gonna be possibly a blowout. So I got the Chiefs winning this one. And then now moving on to another surprising teams, I would say, to finish off our Sunday games, our Sunday night game, the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Miami Dolphins. I feel like this game is going to be good. Mitchell Trubisky did coming off for the injured Kenny Pickett, coming back to the victory against the Bucs. But the Dolphins are getting Tua back, and you know how his connection is with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle right now. Maybe I would say Mike Gesicki as well. His connection with his receivers are extremely phenomenal. So the Dolphins are going to be back on track once Tua comes back, and I got them winning against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, and I mean, although I am going to agree with you in this, gonna have to go with the Dolphins, but to me it is a really close game. Just seeing how the Steelers, they're coming off a really big win. They're off a high after how good they looked against a pretty good opponent, and Tua coming off of, I mean, who knows how ready he really is, if we're really being honest, after looking at how the Dolphins medical staff has not really been the best. But nevertheless, I'm gonna have to say the Dolphins, regardless of Tua's medical situation. I think I think he's ready. I mean, thankfully he's ready to come back, and I'm gonna make I guess an easy call for me to say that the Dolphins take this one at home. And to top it all off, we got our Monday nighter this week. Another mediocre primetime matchup. We got the Bears at the Patriots. It's Justin Fields against Bailey Zappi. To me, it could go both ways. It's a pretty tight matchup, but I'm gonna say Bailey Zappi keeps his hot streak going, and I'll say that the Patriots come away with this one. Obviously at home, it gets a little extra with that Gillette Stadium atmosphere, but I'll say Bailey Zappi, and pretty pretty good Patriots defense will step up and give Justin Fields trouble, but got the Patriots this week.
I'm gonna just ignore that you completely mispronounced his name 3 times.
That's how you pronounce his name. I don't know why you've been calling him Bailey Zapp. It's Zappy. It's Bailey Zapp.
Bailey Zapp.
Zappy. I mean, listen how anyone calls his name. It's Bailey.
Everyone's been saying Zapp.
I've had to listen to you call him Zapp for the past 3 weeks. It's Bailey.
Everyone has been saying Zapp, bro.
It's been Zappy. Have you not been watching football for like the past week?
I'll just say Zapp. I don't know if it's Mandela effect.
It's Zappy. It's Zappy, dog.
Whatever. I'm not getting into that freaking English teacher. But yes, I'm gonna agree with you. I got New England winning this game. Chicago is really, really struggling. Justin Fields doesn't look like Justin Fields doesn't look like he's that guy for the Bears. That defense and offense both struggling. The coaching staff has been bad for both sides of the ball. New England, Bailey Zapp is really proving everyone that he's a good backup, potentially be a starter. Who knows? In the absence of Mac Jones, but got New England winning this game. And with enough said of this little argument, but ignoring that, this pretty much wraps up the Week 7 preview. Hopefully, I get back up to over 500 on my predictions. You know how bad that's been. Thank you everyone for sticking around so far in this just a little over a quarter of the season so far. I'd like to thank you guys for sticking around here. A couple of viewers hearing us there. We didn't expect to keep going with this podcast, but it's looking very well. Hopefully by the end of the season we get a little bit more traction. But pretty much wraps up episode 8 of the Beans No Ball podcast. David, you got anything else to throw in?
Yeah, you basically got everything, I guess. Not much more. Yeah, obviously we appreciate everyone that does stick around. As you said, let's hope to keep this growing little by little by the end of the season. And yeah, that's gonna wrap it up. We'll see you guys at the Sunday morning chat.